Jessica, we're ready.
All right, good evening, everyone. I've got 5 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. Please join me in the invocation and the pledge. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We just appreciate this time we can come together, join together, and do our county's business. Ask you to just be present, guide our hearts and our minds today and all the decisions that we made. We just ask you to just watch over those in our county that we serve. Watch over our first responders and our law enforcement to keep us safe. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome. We had a good crowd tonight. Thank you all for coming out. We have several opportunities for you to participate tonight. We've got a citizens to be heard at the beginning, another at the end. You can speak on each of those items, one or the other. Please fill out a speaker card with Miss Jessica. You can also speak on each individual scheduled item, and make sure you give us a card for each one of those. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Chairman, there are a couple add-on items. One is a request for approval of a resolution to participate in the pooled commercial paper loan program with the Florida Local Government Finance Commission. The second is a request board approval to purchase certain grass for the Wakulla County Golf Course. And then there are 2 tabs that were sent out to you all last Thursday, I believe, with some slight revisions, but the substance of them will remain the same, and those are tabs 11 and tab 7.
Okay, and the
Just to add to the 2 add-on items, that is the general business.
general business.
And one more, tab 14 is being pulled and will be brought back at the next meeting.
Strike 14. Okay. Do we have a motion with the changes?
Motion.
And a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimous. All right, citizens will be heard for the first one. Thank you very much. If you will, when you come up, give us your name and your address, speaking to the microphone so the folks at home on the cameras can hear you as well. Mr. David Owen.
David Damon, Crawfordville. Thank you, Commissioners. I want to remind y'all about an issue that's been brought up before, and tonight it's going to come out again, but it's about traffic dumping. And it's when someone buys a house in a subdivision, and unbeknownst to them, they're backing up, let's say, to a cow pasture. And a developer sees that cow pasture as a cheap development because the land's cheaper, that doesn't connect with a road, an artery road. And so that developer buys one lot in that subdivision, develops his subdivision, the cow pasture, and then dumps all that traffic into the old, quiet, existing neighborhood. And this is something that's happening over and over and over again in the county. And it's because you can get cheaper land that's not on a main road. And I have yet to see anyone being stopped from doing this, and you just destroy the property values of the people that live in the old, quiet neighborhood. All of a sudden, they have hundreds and hundreds of cars every day driving through their neighborhood. And we saw it at the middle school where it's happened, and they already had enough traffic back there, and it was allowed back behind there. And we've seen it over and over again. And I think this needs to be addressed. We need to pay attention because these people have property rights too. We always hear about property rights, but what about the property rights of the people that live in the old, quiet neighborhood? Their children were able to play out in the street. They're a retired couple, let's say. They were looking for a quiet place, and all of a sudden, hundreds of cars, not to mention during the construction process, they have all the construction equipment going through there. So I want y'all to please pay attention to that for these poor folks that have a piece of property, a quiet neighborhood, and it's being destroyed over and over again. So anyway, we'll come talk back to this later on, but I just want to bring it to everyone's attention what traffic dumping is. So buyer beware in Wakulla County, because there's a good chance that somebody's going to build behind you and you're going to get all their traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, that ends our citizens to be heard. Do we have a motion? We have no awards and presentations tonight. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
A second? Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous. That'll take us to general business, item number 12.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item requests board approval to accept and award RFP 2022-01 simulcast radio system to Motorola Solutions and approval of the agreement. And if you remember, this came to you in January to move forward and agree upon some contract terms with Motorola. Staff has met with them extensively, as well as our legal counsel and their legal counsel. So tonight you have an agreement before you. The high points of this agreement include the cost. So the cost for the construction and installation of the infrastructure, as well as the equipment, training, and maintenance services, is $12,365,256. And then there are post-warranty services that are going to continue over the 15-year lifespan of the radio system, and those total $4,612,218. I want to assure you that there are some damage delays built into this contract, and they escalate with as the delays get further along. The estimated completion of the entire system up and running, everybody has new radios, new towers, is mid-July of 2024. And additionally, there are some hefty requirements built into the payment milestones of this contract that require Motorola to meet certain milestones, such as coverage testing and things like that, before they can get paid for that particular milestone. So I don't want to belabor this and go through this whole entire agenda item. If you have any additional questions, and I believe Heather has some things she wants to mention as well.
Yeah, as each of you are aware, based upon our individual briefings that we conduct before these meetings every 2 weeks, the county has been served with a lawsuit by Williams Communications challenging the procurement. They are seeking, they have 3 counts. One is a deck action count, second is an count for injunctive relief, and the third is a count for a writ of mandamus. Right now, there is not an injunction that has been entered, so the county does have the discretion to proceed with the awarding and approving this contract tonight, if you so choose.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second? A second. We have 2 citizens to speak. We'll start with Tal Whidden.
Sorry if I go first?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Are you Mr. Whidden?
No, I'm Brian Coker.
Ryan Coker, you can go first.
Communications and 5046 Tennessee Capitol Boulevard, Tallahassee, Florida. As you're aware, we've been in front of the board before and asking you to take a little bit deeper look into the specifications of this RFP, and we feel that we kind of indicated pretty early on that it looked like there might have been some misleading going on. We have recently received a copy of the contract that you're about to enter, and based upon the contract, it clearly states within the testing procedures, which is really key to the coverage of this radio system, that you clearly are not getting what you're asking for. That coverage acceptance test data clearly states that you are being misled. And I'm not quite sure why the consultant didn't detect it. He indicated in one of the early documents, identified a key element that wasn't provided during that coverage acceptance test document. We brought that to your attention several months ago that item was missing and you couldn't validate what coverage was being presented. So with the information in your contract, we have gone in, added it into our coverage tool to do a side-by-side comparison. So as what I provided to you, some of the most critical points, just that first coverage map this system, and you spent a lot of time doing interviews with the users, and this is all about public safety, protecting the citizens, and protecting first responders. There is nothing more important with a radio system than coverage. This is what you're buying, nothing else. This is it. So if you remember in the first round of this RFP, Motorola came with an 8-site design, and that gave them compliant coverage in the first round. How is it possible for them to be compliant in coverage the second go-around by reducing 2 sites? So on the left, you can see our design, and this is a heavy building, which was defined in the cities and the development corridors to be able to go into heavy buildings. As you can see with those orange lines on there, they're a little harder to see, but those are the boundaries that coverage has to be present to be compliant. The Motorola coverage is not compliant to the RFP. Those blue dots inside those circles are clearly showing you they are not meeting your coverage requirement. Unfortunately, the document you're looking to sign is going to give them the ability to get past a coverage test and make you think you're getting what you asked for, but you're not getting what you asked for. This time you guys should take a little bit of a break, have a conversation with your consultant, and validate that you're actually getting what you are asking for. So a lot of time and energy is put in this. This is about your first responders, protecting them, and it's just not going to happen with what Motorola's presented to you. The second map is a residential building map through the corridor. They missed that number. The minimum requirements were 95%. They're missing the mark in every category in coverage.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hal Whidden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, citizens, staff. Thank you. My name is Tal Whidden, 5046 Tennessee Capitol Boulevard. Yes, I'm employed with Williams Communications, but that's my second career. My first career was over 30 years in law enforcement, both Leon County Sheriff's Department and FDLE. I'm a user. I understand about radios and what it's like to be on the other side of that radio when you're trying to call somebody. It's my opportunity to employ y'all to look very hard at what these coverages and what you're signing up for. I am concerned for our public safety here in Wakulla, whether you're an EMS, whether you're a firefighter, whether you're a deputy sheriff. My concern is that you can have the best equipment that money can buy, but if no one can hear you, and if no one can talk to you, it's nothing more than a boat anchor. And again, I would just implore y'all to take a look. You've got one chance. There's a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort being put into this. I've been here in this county and this community for many, many, many years. And the desires of what our users or what your users want in this system. Please take a second. Talk to the consultants again. Make sure that what is being presented and represented in this contract is something that's going to be not only for the citizens of Wakulla, but also all these first responders that are putting their back on the line every single day, 24/7, 365. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. That ends our citizens. Do we have any discussion from the board?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Look at my notes a little better. There was a mention in there concerning the city of Tallahassee's P25 core, and what is currently in the contract is not there. So, again, looking a little bit closer into that, exactly what is in that contract versus what the desire is for the county needs to be taken a look at.
Thank you, sir. Discussion.
Is Tusa here? That's what I was going to ask.
No, he's not. He was gonna watch the, meeting live.
Representative Motorola, if you'd like to hear from them.
Yeah, they need to fill out a speaker card if they want to speak for Motorola.
Okay, they're good.
I'll certainly answer any questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, if you have any questions about the coverage requirements and the maps that were handed out, I can provide them with my copy of the maps if they want, if you guys would like to address that.
Have you seen this map, ma'am?
No. Oh, well, I can see You have 80% share of market. If I'm gonna look at a coverage map and
If you will, speak into the microphone so everyone can hear you at home. And introduce yourself, please, and then fill out a speaker card with Miss Jessica when you're done. Thank you.
Stacy Check, Motorola Solutions. I think this is just a he said, she said, sore loser. I'm sorry, I don't see any engineering justification that would suggest that our coverage design and hours of development and hours of design with the consultant should be challenged. But I'll answer any questions that you have. I mean,
You said y'all have 80%. What agencies do you have around us right now?
So we have Tallahassee, Leon, we have, I think 38 of the counties in the state of Florida alone. And we have twice as many cities. We just converted Miami-Dade County from Harris to Motorola subscribers. We put in significant number of references for the county to reach out to. And I don't want to get into who's better and who's not.
No, I just wanted to,
We've done a really good job with our customers. I mean, I can sit here and talk all night about how great the company is. I've been here 38 years. We do not propose things that don't work. I don't have any systems that have been taken back. I don't have anybody in the state of Florida that's unhappy with their system. And I mean, and if we want to get into it, I've just flipped 3 of Williams' customers. So obviously they were not that happy with Williams as a vendor.
And Stacy, you can keep that. I can grab your copy probably. So the points that were being made earlier were that the county is being misled, that the coverage, the proposal indicated to us that would provide is being misrepresented. I didn't know if you wanted to clarify that for the board before.
Yeah, because one thing that was a takeaway, they indicated that in our original proposal, we had an 8-site design. My first question is, how did they know that? I didn't realize that was public record yet. But the second piece of that is the original proposal had a different set of requirements. And we also came in with the first design using lease sites. The county in the second release of the RFP indicated that they wanted to own their own sites. So we came in, we did a lot of research, we found optimum property to develop sites on. So versus depending on where those existing lease sites were and working our coverage around it, we came in and we did a custom coverage design. And they suggest that we missed the mark. We actually exceeded coverage in several categories. The RFP requirement was for 95%. In some of the categories, we met 95 everywhere. We actually exceeded with 97% coverage. And that's using the optimized site locations. In addition to that, you all are buying a turnkey system solution, which includes the site development. It also includes the end user gear, the walkie-talkies and the mobile and portable radios. So that combination of that equipment and our infrastructure is going to deliver an incredibly high level of performance. So I have no concerns. And I think as your staff mentioned, we signed up to some pretty hefty financial penalties tied to both the performance of the system and then also tied to the calendar. I mean, you guys are under the gun with your Triumph funding, with the Triumph grant, and I think they asked some questions. We had to satisfy some questions from the Triumph board. We did a conference call. We had to address some coverage questions. There's some members of the board that have some telecommunications background. I think we satisfied that. And we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're signing up to a very aggressive schedule, implementation schedule, construction schedule. I have the best construction team of any of the vendors. And so we were able to sign up to that. I think it's 435 days or something, which is crazy for building green sites. But we're going to do it. We've already at our own exposure have started a pre-build because we knew there's going to be a lot of noise and a lot of unfortunate delays on the county to get this very important project moving forward. So because of that, we're actually pre-building the system. So when we get the go-ahead to ship, we're going to ship the equipment, we're going to come in and we're going to put it in, and the public safety users and the community is going to be in a very, very good position.
thank you, ma'am. Further questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question for Stacy, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that when we hired TUSA as a consultant, that is exactly how the process was supposed to work. Is that correct, Heather?
That is correct. They evaluated the the technical submittals to ensure that they would meet the requirements of the RFP.
And number 9 tonight on our consent agenda does make sure that TUSA is doing their job throughout this whole process also, correct?
That's correct. They'll be in charge of, ensuring that the system is built according to the specifications, and that includes ensuring that the coverage testing acceptance is done and meets the standards.
I'm sorry for interrupting. May I ask her again? Sorry. With regard to this that we received today, is that going to slow down the process, or?
I mean, that's impossible to predict at this point. I can tell you at this point, you have the discretion to move forward. There's been a complaint filed, but there has been no other action taken by any court.
My motion stands.
Mine too. Sir, I'll give you a couple more minutes. Come on up.
I would just suggest, it's really very easy to mislead during coverage map productions. There are specific values that were left out of the proposal process that Mr. Toos identified early on in the evaluation that weren't there. And now that it's in the contract, you can see that the loss factors that are being used for coverage testing do not represent what the requirements of the RFP are. That's why we're very front and center in our complaint. You have a non-compliant vendor that got missed in the evaluation process. All I'm asking is that you might want to take a quick look, get back with the consultant, have him validate the position that you do have compliant. If you need to tweak the language of your agreement to make sure that the county is protected and that you are going to get what you asked for, it's not going to cost you that much time to figure that out.
So
That's all I ask.
So we're relying on a consultant that we hired early in the process. You're alleging that the consultant did not do their job.
He identified this during the evaluation process, that the key information was missed. And even Stacy during the oral presentations via public records, indicated that they would talk to that during negotiations. And I just feel that loss factor got missed. We just did another job with the same consultant, and that loss factor was argued back and forth intensely. And we went to a higher number to meet the requirements of their RFP, and it's not there in your agreement. So you are signing up for a lot less coverage if you sign that agreement tonight.
So I haven't had a chance to review the lawsuit yet because it just came to us late today, about 30 minutes ago, an hour ago. Did you name our consultant as a party to this lawsuit as well?
No, sir. It was just to the county.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
I don't know anything about radio systems, and so I have to rely on TUSA. So,
Okay. There's no additional questions or comments. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous. Thank you. Alrighty, that will take us to item 13 under general business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request for the board's approval of an application for a reduction in code enforcement liens pertaining to case number CE 2009-86. This is for property located at 5 Stephen Donaldson Road. Back in 2010, the Code Enforcement Board found this property to be in violation for the accumulation of rubbish and debris. Since that time, fines have accrued daily to the tune of just over $118,000, which does exceed the current market value of the property. Recently, the ownership of this property has come under Miss Melissa Donaldson, who was not the original violator, and she has made this request to reduce the lien. Staff, thank you.
You're welcome.
Second motion.
A motion and a second. Do we have any citizens? Ms. Donaldson, would you like to speak? This is your time. Please introduce yourself and give us your address. It's okay. We're all friends.
All right. I'm asking for a reduction on behalf of my father. I'm sorry. Ms. Linda ain't here.
No, Miss Linda's not here tonight.
No. I'm sorry, but my dad is retired military, 30 years. mother's on hospice. I just acquired that, I am a nurse. I just acquired that the property had a lien on it because I applied for a loan to remodel the house to get my parents out of that situation because I'm moving in with them. So I fell out when I seen the price. I asked my daddy due to a stroke, he doesn't remember that I had all kinds of medical conditions, which I do have proof in my book bag. But I'm pretty sure he's always been compliant with the county. He's from Wakulla County. He's known down here. But I'm pretty sure if he knew about it, which was cleaned up, I think about a couple years later, it was cleaned up. But I don't think he knew that he had to say, hey, my house was cleaned up, can you come back? But when I did acquire the loan, it was $118,000, and then I asked to get it reduced. But my parents are just sick right now, and I'm coming out of the pocket a whole lot. And I have them living in my house right now, and it's not like a pity party or anything, but I'm trying to get the loan so I can move forward and get them back in their house.
It's a lot.
I know it was reduced down from 18 to 2,100, which I thank God, because I had a panic attack.
You're fine.
Well, the good news, you only need 3 votes, and you got 2 already, because someone made a motion in a second, so, yeah.
I'm sorry that the land was I'm sorry the property was like that, but my dad did will everything to me, and I am power of attorney of my mother and my father, and I am the only child, and I am taking care of them full time. If I have to come up with the 2,100, I will. I have $2,000 that I have saved up for and worked double shifts for, but I am literally asking just for a little bit more lenient, a little bit more lesser, just to help out with funds.
Very good.
But if I gotta do what I gotta do, I gotta do it for him.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Well, can I speak real quick? Yes, sir. Yes. Just know that you're loved, because I was reached out to by several citizens in the county that said we needed to help you. So know you're loved in Wakulla County.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm off duty, so if anybody needs anything, I'm here.
Well, and I'd like to point out for the benefit of the public that what the motion on the table is to reduce it to the hard cost plus 20%. So that's a policy that we adopted some time back to make sure that staff time, any legal time, gets recovered. And so we don't want the citizens of the county to pick up the tab for that. And so what we came up with is the actual hard cost plus 20% on that, because there's always unknowns there. So the proposal right now is to drop that from $118,275 to $2,185.10, which is consistent with our policy.
That's fair. So if I have the 2,000,
Summer will work with you as far as the payments.
Yes, tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah. The good thing is you've got the lien stopped, so the meter is no longer ticking, the cost is no longer going up, and this is going to bring the cost way down. So that's the big hurdle.
okay.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for coming tonight. Any further discussion on that?
Am I supposed to leave because I have them at the house with the caregiver?
We're gonna vote on it right now, so you'll know the outcome.
No, exactly.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous. You got 5 votes, you only needed 3, so good job. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Come by and see us. All righty, we're gonna move to, item number 15.
James Clark, of course, gonna handle this one. And while he's up there, we'll get roll into the next one, if you don't mind.
Okay, absolutely.
You approved the $2 million line of credit for disaster recovery back in January. and I was unaware of additional cost of up to $5,000. And so instead of just approving that, I put it back before you. We discussed all of this earlier in our individual meetings. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it.
Great, thank you, sir. We have a motion. I'll make a motion. Motion to approve.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Do we have a second on that? Second. Any citizens on that? All right, discussion.
I just want to make sure that, and I did ask Greg this, is that we only pay the money if we use the line.
We've never used it. It is there just as, backup. We pay the hard cost of attorney's fees and counsel, and that's what, now it's up to $8,000 in total. But we've never used it, and so we haven't paid any interest on this loan.
Okay.
Paid a little legal fees in the very beginning to get it all set up.
So we paid similar fees back in 2013-14 when we first set it up, and they've been much smaller since. And the Ameris Bank has assured me that the next time we renew it, it will not be up to $5,000. It'll be about $500.
In what time frame?
Every 2 years we renew this. It's a 2-year loan, or line of credit, I should say.
Very good. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimous. So let's go into our add-on item, the commercial paper loan program from the Florida Local Government Finance Commission.
David?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item requests board approval of resolution agreeing to participate in the pooled commercial loan program of the Florida Government Local Finance Commission and approval of loan agreement not exceeding $100 million. The purpose of this loan, this purpose is to have a line of credit for all of the projects that we have ongoing at this time for cash flow, and we're working with DEP as far as front-ending a lot of these projects, and they're working with us. We believe that we'll go through initial $30 million up front, and that's just a buffer. We'll get it loaned, pay it back once we get the grant funds, and just a fund to swash in and out. We'll probably go through that now 2 times. Initially, we were thinking it would be 3 times, which is $90 million, and that's the reason they rounded it to $100 million. Greg and I have negotiated this with J.P. Morgan as well as with the Florida Local Government Finance folks. And Greg, you want to give them some more details on it?
Sure, mainly for the benefit of the public. So we've got 163, I'm going to round these numbers, $163 million in projects over the next 10 years. The bulk of that is in the next 3. And so while we're in a good cash position and have plenty of reserves, we do not have the ability to cash flow all of those grants.
Those are grant-funded projects.
Grant-funded projects, because they're all happening all at one time, there's just no way to fund them all.
And they're all infrastructure projects.
So we went out to local banks first to get what a $30 million line of credit would cost us. 3 proposals: Prime Meridian, Capital City, and Ameris Bank. Ameris Bank was really the only responsive bank that would have a revolving line of credit of $30 million. And their costs, their interest rate, it's tied to a variable rate, the SOFR rate, which is the secured overnight financing rate that gets published every month. That rate was 5.42%. It's a variable rate, but what we've done is tried to just, for calculation purposes, convert it to a fixed rate to make comparisons of what it would cost us. And if we had to borrow all of this money with Ameris Bank, the interest would be about $1.5 million, 1.6. Then we reached out to the Florida Local Government Finance Program. Initially, we were told they did not do revolving loans, and so the only way to get the money was to borrow all $90 million. We've talked with them again, David and I, several times, and they're actually creating a hybrid or a new product for Wakulla County. And so your documentation says up to 100 million, but it will only be 30 million at a time. Their interest rate was 4.53%, plus $40,000 in fees. There's a $2,000 per thousand with a max at 40,000.
Per million.
What's that? Per million, yes, sorry. That interest rate of 4.53% will cost the county 1.3 million in interest, a savings of $255,000 compared to Ameris Bank. So we are recommending you use the JP Morgan, the loan program that you have in front of you. There's a lot of moving parts still. We worked with DEP, or I say we, David has worked with DEP to get DEP to advance fund all of their grants. And so now, originally we thought we were going to have to borrow the 30 million 3 times. And now we're down to about $70 million, 67 or $70 million that's going to need to be borrowed because of the advanced funding for DEP. There's legislation right now working its way through the legislature that would require grant agencies to advance, all grant agencies to advance fund RACIC counties, which is a rural, if I get this right, rural area of economic, a rural area county of economic concern. And so we would qualify. And so if that legislation passes, and it's supposed to be effective July 1, it's entirely possible that we only need to borrow 30 million one time to get from here to July or into August. So there's still a lot of variables. Right now we're counting on borrowing the money twice because we're not really sure what's going to happen with the legislation. Another wrinkle is that we are able to invest the money right now. We have a local investment pool that is earning 4.77% as of Friday. The interest rate that we will pay is 4.53%, so we're earning 26 basis points more than we're going to pay. So there's a lot of variables to consider, but right now, given the situation we're in, I would recommend borrowing all 30 million up front, even though we don't need it right away. Invest it all at 4.77%, pay the program 4.53, and we'll keep the difference. That's about $6,000 a month. But we'll earn 119 million in 119,000 in interest, and we'll pay 113,000 in interest every month. So difference of 6, and that 6 hopefully will help offset the $40,000 fees that we'll incur.
So when you say borrow the 30 million up front, it's a 100 million line of credit with a minimum draw of the 30 million?
Right. The way the program works is Ameris Bank, they just open a line of credit, and anytime you need $1 million or $2 million, you just ask for $1 million or $2 million, and they put it in your account. With this program, they actually issue commercial paper every time you make a draw. And so if we would only ask for 8, there would be a mini loan of 8 million. We'd have to fill out all the paperwork for that. And then if we needed a month later another 5 million, you got to do all the paperwork again for another mini loan of 5 million. So for paperwork purposes and the fact that we can earn more interest, it'd make more sense just to borrow all 30 million up front, one time, get all the paperwork done, and use that 30 million as needed, and we'll pull it out of the investment account and pay the bills as needed.
That was one of the keys to doing this, and with one of these folks is we were able to pull a slug up front so that we could gain, with a low interest rate, we could gain interest and hopefully net this thing out, at least. And arbitrage, I mean,
That's called arbitrage. So,
Yeah.
you know, the IRS doesn't like it when we're issuing tax exempt money. All right, we're not paying tax, and or I should say the person buying the commercial paper, where we're getting the money from, it's tax exempt for them. And so the IRS doesn't like to issue tax exempt money, and then we turn around and make interest on it. All right, and so you're sort of double dipping there because the interest rate's lower with tax exempt money. But there are some arbitrage loopholes that are built into the law, and you have it in your packet. There's 3 options. We'll meet the 18-month loophole where whatever interest we do earn, we will not have to rebate back to the IRS. And we'll make sure
And
that
if we don't, we
yeah, in worst case scenario, you write a check back to the IRS for the excess that that is determined to be arbitrage, and you're no worse off than you would have been if you couldn't earn the interest at all. Which we don't plan on doing that. I don't want to write a check to the IRS.
So let me summarize this, tell me if I've got it right. So, we're basically proposing here that we're gonna probably have to, we're talking big numbers. We're gonna have to spend about $1.3 million in fees to get this money. However, this is gonna allow us to receive $160 million in grants and use that money to fund $160 million worth of infrastructure improvements to our county. And so,
Well, we're going to get the $160 million in grants regardless.
but if we can't cash flow it,
You have another option. You can tell David to throw a boat motor, an anchor out and slow everything down. You can ask for grant extensions. You can ask for everything to be slowed down. And I don't know what the real options are and the implications of that with all of your sewer projects. So barring slowing down everything to where everything gets dragged out further, you have already $160 million in grant fund. Well, technically it's 140. We're putting 20 of our own money in as grant matching. But that's already grant funding that you have. We just can't cash flow it. And so we are adding on $1.3 million in expense in order to get it done as timely as possible.
and if we do have him drag this out many years, I'm guessing there's a very good chance it's going to be more expensive in 3 years than it is this year, and more expensive in 5 years.
Also, there are kickers on quite a few of those grants that are part of the ARPA funding that have to be expended by 2026. So that's a...
I mean, we extend grants before, but you don't extend it for long periods of time. If the money's in the budget for the state this year, then it needs to be spent this year, and getting all of this money extended 3, 4, 5 years out, it's just not, I don't know.
Also, if we play this game right, though, and which we have always done that, we should net even out the 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
So,
With the investment, well,
that's right, investment.
we've got it parked before we can.
I don't know, I can't promise.
we can't promise that, but
David keeps saying that, don't commit me to that.
it won't be 1-to-1, but this will definitely have benefit.
That'll be gravy if we can pull that.
Icing on top of the cake. It doesn't work exactly like that, but it's close.
We're already putting 20 million of our own money in as either cost overruns or matches to the grants. And so now we'll be putting 21 and 21.3.
Questions, comments?
I mean, it's one of those things that it is a domino effect. You can't get this far with regard to grants and the way that we're moving and then halt the thing. I mean, that is what we're dealing with.
Not only
Because of their timeline.
Yeah, you have performance deadlines in those
Exactly
grants.
right.
And as Greg alluded to, state grants typically have language in them that if it's a multi-year grant and the money's not appropriated in future years, they can walk away. And
Yes.
so, the faster you are able to push these and get those funds locked in and get your project completed, the less of that risk that you take.
That's also the reason that we're probably the #1 state in the county now for grant funding per capita basis. So
County and
the state.
County and state.
But, so anyway, now we're also, just like the $12 million contract you just approved.
That's
We got to stroke a check, big one.
part of this.
And if the legislation passes, that will minimize how much we have to draw into this line of credit.
Yeah, I've calculated the interest costs of 1.5 and 1.3, the comparison between the two banks that are going to loan are willing to loan us money, on the cycle twice. And so, in a best, and I have this in your packet, in a best case scenario, the legislation passes, we only have to get from here to June. That's only a 20-something million dollars. And so we may not even need to use the first 30 at all in a best case scenario. Well, you won't spend 1.3 million in interest because we're going to return whatever is unused, and we will know that early, and then our interest expense will be much smaller. I say much smaller, it'll be lesser.
And out of this package of projects, realize the public needs to understand is you're going to get a brand new emergency radio system, resurfaced roads in a lot of counties from FDOT, SCRAP, and SCOP. Had also about 10 to 12 septic to sewer projects that's going to have new either resurfaced roads or brand new roads on them, and a number of other smaller projects, but a lot of them are looped in there.
If you look at, I think it's attachment A1 to attachment 6, which is the resolution you're approving, it lists some of the initial projects. There's, as David alluded to, there's about a page and a half. There's a bunch of sewer projects. There are some transportation projects, the golf course, the radio system, the Masha Sands Pier, some generators, boat ramps, and some park improvements as well.
A new wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, wastewater.
New wastewater system.
Very good.
It's real easy for me to say no, no. The CEO figures out what we're doing, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it and pay for it as least expensive as possible. This is your least expensive option without delaying the projects.
Further questions, comments?
He answered them all.
Everyone's good? All right. We will call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any
I
opposed?
think there was a motion. Need a motion.
I make a motion. You never had a motion? Okay. We rolled right into this one. I make a motion for approval. We got a motion and a second. Did we have any citizens over? Okay.
Who's second?
Michigan, any additional questions or comments? We're rolling.
I see that.
That was a lot of information. You was thinking. There we go. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous. Now we got it. Okay, so now let's go to our next add-on item. Let's talk about grass.
All right, this is a request approval to purchase grasses for the Wakulla County Golf Course in the amount of $914,618. This will buy 13 acres of Tiff Tough Bermuda sod rolls, 13 acres of pallet sod, 70 acres of sprigs, and 5.5 acres of passepatum sprigs, and that will be our greens. The fairways is the Tiff Tough Bermuda. We price this out over 15 different companies, sod companies, and sod is expensive.
Especially this kind of sod.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. You don't just put,
Centipedes.
you don't run to the hardware store and buy this stuff.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any citizens? Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous. Congratulations, Gina. Keep it alive. That's our request. All righty, so that ends our general business. We'll go into public hearings, item number 16.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request for the board's approval to conduct the first of two public hearings to consider a development agreement with Golden Construction Company, Inc. This developer's agreement is kind of an add-on situation to a previous transmittal application for a comprehensive plan future land use map amendment on 176 acres, also known as the Watkins property. This was approved to be transmitted by the board back in November of last year. The proposed development agreement ensures that central sewer and water will be connected to the site should the comp plan amendment be approved. That will come before you at your next board meeting for consideration. In conjunction with this development agreement, there are two required public hearings per Florida statute, tonight being the first one, and the second one scheduled for April 3rd. Staff is happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Second. We have two citizens, Mr. David Damon. Oh, sorry, we got three.
Thank you, Commissioners. David Damon, Crawfordville. So we're talking about traffic dumping earlier, and this is a case of traffic dumping. If you live on Appaloosa Road or Tennessee Walker Road, and this project is approved with 176 homes, I believe it is, on 165 acres, you can probably expect 352 cars a day to go in front of your house. Now, you bought in a quiet little neighborhood, you retired there, or you want to raise your kids there. And unbeknownst to you, somebody bought one lot that connects with farmland. All of a sudden, you have 352 cars a day going in front of your property. What happened to your property rights that we always hear about property rights? There are no protections in Wakulla County from this. You buy at your own risk in Wakulla County. And that needs to change. Realtors need to get behind this. They need to stop this. If people get wise to this, I mean, why would you risk it? Why would you take a chance of the most expensive thing you're going to ever invest in your home? For most people, having the property values destroyed. Not to mention your way of life. It was quiet, and all of a sudden, construction equipment, you've got years of construction equipment going in front of your place. There's no other way in or out of there. You're stuck with it, and good luck selling it at that point. You're stuck. So I think instead of always looking at developers' rights when you talk about property rights, you need to look at the existing citizens, the taxpayers that have lived here for years and years, that don't hardly have a voice in this because everything always gets approved for developers because they have the rights, apparently, not the people that have lived here for many, many years. And this just isn't right. I mean, put yourself in their position for just a minute and think if you lived in a quiet neighborhood and this happened to you, you'd be livid. I mean, we need to change this way of thinking that every development gets approved and gets the maximum density it can get. This needs to stop. And you guys can stop it. You guys can do something. This is comp plan change. You don't have to approve this. This isn't a given, so it's up to y'all. But think about this. This just isn't right for these people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tyler Rencher.
I don't know if there's possible to have a better preamble than his. I am your guy. I'm that guy. My name is Tyler Rencher. I live with my wife, 2 kids, 2 dogs at 94 Appaloosa Road, which if you look at the map, it's the big plot, the little plot. I am immediately north of that little plot. That's me. If you've been listening to this issue as we've been going, you'll remember Golden Construction inviting me personally to, if I don't like the plan, I can leave Wakulla. They also called me a liar in the next meeting, which was fun. I want to address 2 things. I'm going to start with traffic and build right on with what was just said here, and then the second piece I want to talk about is schools. And I've talked about this stuff before, so hopefully this is a review. Everything he said about traffic is true. We've talked pretty extensively about traffic, especially last time about the methodology of the traffic surveys that were conducted on Martin Luther King and the road. But I want to talk specifically about, to be frank, I don't need a traffic survey to tell me that if they're going to build 175 homes in this area right behind my house, and my house is next to the entranceway, I'm going to see, he said 365, I'm going to say it's way more than that. Probably 2 cars per home, probably a guy going to work and back, probably a parent going to school and back, trips to the store. It would be surprising if it didn't go over 700 cars per day in front of my house. Today I get about 10. My house. And my neighbors. That should not be fair. That should not be approved. I think we need to put those who own homes in this area way before we do other people. We moved in August to have a home that was quiet, that was out, space, 2 kids could just grow up, play in the trees.
I don't know if we'll be able to do that in the future. Second piece is schools. So there were a lot of discussions around when I talked to the school when we were moving down here, they said, oh, we're at capacity. Different reports were telling Golden Construction that no, there's plenty of space. There's 600 chairs available. So I wanted to get to the bottom of it. I called the school board. I spoke with the superintendent myself. And I said, what is the deal? Very enlightening. It actually depends on who you are. If you're if you're a developer, they will give you a number whether you're at capacity, and 100% is the max. If you're a person who's asking to bring their child into this school from say, a different state, or I'm in the Shadeville school, I want to go to Crawfordville, what's that number? Max capacity is at 85 to 90%. That's what keeps your range right there, that 10% difference. That's what keeps your school good. That's the difference between going to a Tallahassee school and going to a Wakulla school. If we approve this, we will go, and I know I'm done.
Just bring it in.
Yep. If we go over this, that will bring us beyond the comfortable range. That will put us beyond what keeps Wakulla schools good right now. If you approve this, you are losing the reason that Tallahassee sends schools to us, or sends kids to us. Don't do that to our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Cliff Hancock.
Well, make people nervous, don't you? And y'all ain't said nothing yet, but I want to tell you there's a lot of weight on y'all's shoulders, and I understand that. My name's Cliff Hancock. I live at 173 Tennessee Walker, which is around the corner from where this access is supposedly not going, but hypothetically. I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to the people of Raykirk Ranchettes and neighbors and citizens around our subdivision that actually are showing concerns about this going up. To the rezoning of one large parcel and one lot parcel, which is in Raykirk Ranchettes. We are all here to defend the opposing to refuse the request. The owners of the property have refused to discuss or come in and speak to us in Raykirk Ranchettes over the proposed proposal of that one lot that's attached to the land. Now, if you're considering rezoning that property, understood. But for it being in Raykirk Ranchettes and part of Raykirk Ranchettes, we would consider keeping it part of Raykirk Ranchettes and not get it attached to the abomination that they're trying to create behind us. The subdivision needs to be coming in off of a main highway, not through an existing rural subdivision, which is highly populated with country settings, environment. There's 3 wetlands on the lot that supposedly in May tapped into the aquifer, which is no longer a discussion anymore. Nothing about the environment has actually been brought up since May. We've had the accusations that was brought up that if we don't like it, we can move. That's understood. And to me personally, I figured the commissioners would have actually brought that to their attention to not actually interject in it and actually tell people to bring more professional profile to these meetings instead of charging at people, telling them, well, if you don't like what we're doing, you can move and find new friends. I'm trying to refuse bringing that to the desk, and I figured y'all would have seen the previous meetings where it was kind of a badger type issue, which we came in and we was like, well, the nature, the environment, the schools, the infrastructure, the roads not being done. We brought all this stuff to y'all's attention, and then all of a sudden we just drop it all, and then when a builder comes in and just goes, oh, well, if you don't like it, y'all can move and find new friends. That basically goes over y'all's head to say, we got more power than y'all, we can do what we want. Take that into consideration that we are literally trying to save our little group of natural environment right there off of Raykirk Ranchettes. The road test that was done on it, I still think is a little far-fetched to be around 18 cars per Martin Luther King and Spring Creek Highway. I think it's a little over that is my concern, is the traffic is going to be overwhelming. We've had accidents going off like red lights down here, and we can't figure out. But I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention that we're just trying to save our little environment we have, and the proposal is more towards that one lot that's in our neighborhood, is to keep it part of Raykirk Ranchettes and not be affiliated with what's fixing to happen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Mr. William Poole.
My name is Bill Poole. I live in Brook Forest. I thought the last time that this got voted on, it was a done deal, but that's the reason I came today. I want you all to please reconsider the 3-2 vote. These people that came here not too long ago, you asked them for your votes. They gave you those votes in hopes that you'd keep them in mind when things like this happen. Brook Forest, if you have not been fortunate enough to travel, we're going to have 17 homes at my back door if this subdivision goes through. Please reconsider this. You're only the 3 people that voted for this are only satisfying 2 people out of this. The contractor and a person that doesn't even live in Wakulla County that owns the land. He don't even vote here. Please don't turn your back on all these people, the people in Brook Forest, and pass this because we don't need it. You're stripping Wakulla County of its identity if you'll go through these subdivisions where they clear cut all the land and build all the houses that they can build on there. Please reconsider. Most of those people that live closer to it, I'm going to have all them at my back door in Brook Forest. And Brook Forest is one of the oldest subdivisions in this county. And I'm very fortunate to live on 5 acres of trees and a house sitting in the middle of it. But these people are really going to suffer from it. 3 people voted for it the last time. Zoning and Planning voted against it. Please, the 3 people that voted for this, consider all those people, the 100 or so that asked them for your vote. You're only satisfying 2 people if you pass this subdivision. A contractor and a man that lives in Franklin County. He don't even live here. Please reconsider this. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion?
I have some other question.
Yes.
We aren't voting on a comp plan tonight, so we are voting on the first of 2 public hearings to consider a development agreement with Golden Construction Company, correct?
Correct.
How far are we along in this process? Does this come first, and then another transmittal to the state?
So the comp plan amendment has been transmitted to the state.
Thank you.
It is being prepared to be presented to the board for their final consideration at the April 3rd hearing. That will be the consideration for adoption of that future land use map amendment, and following that item will be the second public hearing for the developers agreement. In the event that the comp plan amendment is not approved, there will be no need to hold the second public hearing regarding this item tonight.
Okay, thank you.
So nothing is finalized tonight?
Correct.
Further?
I asked a question, I didn't.
If you will fill out a speaker card as soon as you're done, yes, sir, please come on down.
I'm Randy Hall. I live on Appaloosa Road, just down the street from this tract of land that's going to be used for a roadway. This is a plotted subdivision. This tract of land was not plotted for a roadway. It's a residence. I don't understand all the in and outs. Ms. Summers may know a lot better than me. But I think that question needs to be addressed. The legality of taking a residential piece of property in a plotted community and turning it into a road. We have roads in the community that were plotted, but that's not one of them.
Thank you, sir. Summer, would you like to weigh on that? Is this something that's new and unique to Wakulla County? The idea of using a public road through an existing parcel?
I would say not. I mean, it's pretty common to access one subdivision through another platted subdivision through another platted subdivision, really all over the country. With state law here in Florida requiring a recorded plat for the division of 3 or more parcels, eventually over time, pretty much all parcels will one day become a part of some unrecorded plat, and described less often by meets and bounds description. So I think state law kind of backs you into this corner of having to plat property, and unless there's an area on a plat that's designated residential use only, we do subdivision plats for commercially zoned property all of the time, and in most cases, those areas are, specifically designated on the face of that plat as residential or commercial, like you would have a common area designated as a common area or a park for use by the homeowner. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
So Summer is,
That's what you couldn't put subdivision up against the subdivision.
no, sir, that's not true. If you'd like to speak, sir, we'll give you the time. We'll need you to come out and fill out a speaker card as well. Okay. Fred?
Summer, so the parcel of land that I guess whoever the developer purchased, is it on there to be changed? Is it in the?
I was actually just trying to pull up that plat right now. If I'm not mistaken, this is what is considered as an unrecorded plat, which kind of predates some of the more formal platting law requirements and all of the details in the statute now for platting and replatting of properties. Historically, some lots were developed and created in a plat-like form, but they didn't go through the formal approval process, like through the county commission and recording with the clerk's office. And so they are plats on paper that allow for the division of lands, identify them with different tract or lot numbers, if you will, but are not the same as a plat officially recorded in the courthouse. Many of those are considered lots of record as they existed prior to the adoption of county's land development code. In the case of Raykirk Ranchettes, it is considered an unrecorded plat, so there is not an actual recorded plat like you think of today, and like this board reviews recorded in the clerk's office. Most of these lots are still referenced by a meets and bounds description versus just a lot in a block within a recorded plat, since there is no actual recorded plat here.
And when the developer created this neighborhood, whether they recorded it or not, they had the option that they could have made it private roads instead of public roads and not received the benefit of the public money to maintain the roads.
That it was an option at that time, yes, sir.
If those were private roads today, I don't think we'd be having the same conversation. I don't believe it would be easy to access it to an adjoining neighborhood.
It would make it much more difficult, yes, sir.
Yeah. Chuck?
I've been against this one from the beginning, so I'll go over my issues again. Number one, these people bought property expecting a rural lifestyle, and you're going to put this right behind them. That's not appropriate. These people bought looking at the traffic that's going to be in their neighborhood. That's what they bought. You're going to change that. You're changing their way of life to benefit a developer when he can figure out a way to put a road from his parcel out to the highway, buy the land to do that, out to the highway, connect his parcel directly to the highway, not to a subdivision where he's using existing roads. Also, as part of this development project, that he's going to have to be required to pave those roads as it comes forward. I mean, there's no way you can put this development on on those dirt roads that are there. And either way, the access point is way over, he's understating that how much access is going to take place on that road, given the number of houses are going to go there. That's going to be a problem intersection moving forward, and we're going to have to pay for it later on, and that's just inappropriate. This needs all to be taken care of by the developer before this comes before the board.
Thank you, sir. Further questions, comments?
Well, if it does pass this, and everybody knows how I voted the first time, if it does pass,
I'm in agreement with the business agreement that it should be on water and sewer, and this is what this is about. So this is a public hearing, not a zone change. So if it does passes where the zone change and it comes in there where he's gonna put 100 and something houses, then yes, it needs to be on water and sewer.
And that's the issue that's in front of us.
And that's the issue that's in front of us, yes.
Well, they can't do it unless it's on water and sewer, okay, unless he does it 5-acre tracts.
Well, that's the contract.
And if it's 5-acre tracts, I don't have a problem with it, because then and it's just what is surrounding that area. So I'm all for making this 5-acre tracts and developing it that way. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm not for putting this high-density development right next to this rural neighborhood.
But that's not what we're voting on tonight.
So you'd be okay with 5-acre
That's what I was
tracts
gonna
with
ask.
septic tanks?
Yes.
Okay. First time I've ever heard you say.
I was gonna say,
Well, when you look at if you look at the nitrogen loading that's going to come from all the fertilizers and activity that occur in this high density development, it's going to be more than becoming from those five septic tanks on 5-acre tracts. So that's my choice there. I'd much rather have 5 acres on sewer system, but we can't do that. I mean, you can't afford that. So
we aren't affording anything, the developer is.
The developer.
So that's what needs to be, yeah.
And so, but the 5-acre tracts would make a nice development. It would fit with the community. It would be everything that's, this would be a good use of this land.
Unless he lost his shirt and couldn't make money off of that, then that'd be good for you, but not good for him.
He makes those business decisions to go forward or not, okay?
He can't come to us and expect us to approve everything he does just because he says, I want to build this. I mean, we need to be making bigger demands from the developers as they come forward, and we're the only people that can do that. If we go ahead and give them whatever they want, they won't ever try to improve and do better. Okay, and so we have to raise the bar so that they give us better products to put in our county.
When you say better, people buy these homes. It's supply and demand. People are buying what's available. If people didn't want these, they'd be sitting empty. They wouldn't be bought.
They don't exist, so they wouldn't be bought.
No, I'm talking in general terms. You're talking in general terms.
In general terms,
the requirements.
If you put them on 5-acre tracts, they'll sell those, and it doesn't matter what you do. Because we're so popular, because our school system is, better than Tallahassee's, we get a lot of people coming here, and we need to raise the bar so that we get good quality projects because we have a great school system and we have a great place to live. But if we keep going the way we're going, we're going to lose that.
When you go from 1 acre to 5 acres, you're not only raising the bar, you're raising the price tag considerably for homeowners.
There's a lot of people, there was a whole move of making 5-acre tracts out there, and every one of them sold. So you can't say that that's not a marketable product. And our needs analysis is really out of date, or we need to, or something, because, right now there's no need for this, according to our needs analysis, and they think they have market products. Well, we've been making these tons of changes for market conditions, okay, and some of them have been 1 acre, 2 acre, 5 acre, it doesn't matter. Everything is being done, and our needs analysis says we don't need it.
What do our sales show? Our excess inventory. There's not very much inventory on the market. Things are selling as fast as they're built.
Well, doesn't make our quality of life any better, okay? Doesn't make what's happening in Wakulla County any better, because our traffic, we're getting tons of money, okay, to build this infrastructure, but until that infrastructure is in place, we're going to have all sorts of problems, and our schools are going to still have all sorts of problems, because we're getting too many, the number of houses we're getting is going to outgrow our schools. And then we don't have our good schools, everything's a problem.
Do we have any further questions or comments from the board?
We've got completely off of the item, so
Yeah. So here, and so what are we voting on tonight? Explain that to the citizens. Okay. Renee, you want to read the motion back to us?
You're involved.
Here, no, I'll do it. So the motion on the table is to approve to conduct the first of two public hearings to consider a development agreement with Golden Construction Company. That's the motion. The motion is not about a comp plan amendment. It's not about a rezoning. It's just the builder saying that if he's allowed to move forward, if he makes it to the second hearing, if we go through the comp plan amendment, then he's agreeing to these terms, to bring water, to bring sewer, to bring pavement, to these terms.
It's up to 176 dwellings. The density is limited to 1 per 1.
1 per 1 maximum.
Maximum. And that's all that this development agreement does. And as you said, this item's going to come back at the next meeting for the final public hearing. Nothing will be done before then. And the comp plan amendment will be on the agenda before this. And if the comp plan amendment is not approved, this item will be withdrawn at that time.
176 homes.
176 homes.
1 acre lots effectively.
Home per acre.
And in summer, when the first comp plan amendment came along, what was the proposed number of houses that would have been allowed?
That was, I believe it was 88.
And at that time, it was 88 with septic tanks.
With septic tanks at a density of 1 unit per 2 acres.
2 acres. Yep. And people were against that. We sent it to the state. The state recommended that we connect to public sewer since it's available. And so the developer is having to incur that extra expense. Therefore, he's going to want to sell more lots. It will be.
It's part of the agreement.
Yes, sir.
He has to put the sewer capacity there.
The capacity for the plant is there now. It's just a matter of piping, getting everything from the site to the... So we really can't go back and forth like this all night, but...
Trying to put 171 houses on 171 acres. That doesn't leave room for rodents.
Well, he'll have to come back with a site plan as well, and that'll be another approval that he'll have to get through. And he'll have to look at water, he'll have to look at transportation, he'll have to prove that the roads can handle that or pay to upgrade them. Yeah. All right. Further comments, questions?
What about the access to getting into the property?
I'm gonna call the vote if no one has anything else to add. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Passes 4-1. Thank you all.
Passes
3 to 2.
Hey, your name?
No, take that back. To hold the public hearing, yes, but never mind. I was getting mixed up on something. To hold the public hearing, yes.
So we got
Only for the public hearing.
Yes, Chuck, no. Yep. I got that correct? 4-1.
My bad, sorry.
All right. Thank you very much. For the public hearing. For the public hearing. So that'll come back. We'll go to planning and zoning, item number 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll kick this one off and then turn it over to Summer. This is an application, a rezoning 2301. This is a change of zoning application on 3.4 acres of land located around 73 Hines Street. This is the Danella Heights subdivision, lots 23 and 24. This is your first of 2 public hearings that you're going to have on this, and this is to remove some of those restricted zoning classifications that we've been going through over the past year or so. In accordance with the code, each commissioner should disclose any ex parte communications they may have had regarding this application.
None.
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 If there's anyone here who is going to provide any information on this application, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay.
Yes, in 2009, the Board of County Commissioners approved the change of zoning for the subject property, but included
Motion to
restrictions.
approve.
Okay.
Second. Motion and a second. Any citizens?
For our citizens, this is just removing some illegal restrictive zoning that was put on this, and the next 2 are the same thing, so it's just
Clean up.
Clean up. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimous. Item 18.
Thank you. As Commissioner Hess indicated, this is the second where we are removing some restrictive zoning conditions that are not legal under today's law. This is a change of zoning application 2302. It's on 10 acres of land located off Crawfordville Highway on Fishhawk Trace. If you have any ex parte communications, please disclose them for the record.
None.
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 And Summer is already sworn. Is there anyone here who's going to provide any information on this application? Seeing no one, turn over to Summer.
Motion to approve. Second. Motion and second. Any citizens? Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous. Item 19.
And 19 is also a rezoning application. This is 2303. This is an application covering 9.8 acres more or less of land located off Crawfordville Highway. This is where the Ming Tree Restaurant is located, and we're also proposing to remove some restricted zoning requirements. And on all three of these, tab 17, 18, and 19, this is the first of two public hearings that will come back to you on August 3rd. Is there any ex parte communication?
None.
August 3rd, April 3rd.
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
That
The lady who owns it spoke to me at her business, and I referred her to Summer with questions.
Thank you.
None.
None. None.
Is there anyone aside from Summer who's going to provide any information on this application? Okay, Summer, you're still sworn.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and second. Any citizens? Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous.
Who was the second on that? I didn't get it.
For me.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go to item number 20.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request for the board's approval of a small-scale comprehensive plan future land use map amendment, CP 22-02, for Hartsfield Construction, Inc. This is a request to change the future land use designation from Rural 2 to Urban Core on just shy of 10 acres of land located at 68 Cager Posley Road. This is just south of the current Hamptons development and west of Summerfield Phase 2. The Planning Commission considered this application on March 13th of this year and voted 5-1 to recommend adoption. The proposed comp plan land use designation of Urban Core allows for a maximum residential density of 10 units per acre with connection to central sewer and water. Currently, this property is zoned agriculture, but the following item on your agenda this evening is a change of zoning request to rezone this property from agriculture to PUD. This property is located in the X flood zone, is outside of the coastal high hazard area, outside of the Wakulla Springs special planning area, but is inside of the BMAP area and is also located in the Crawfordville Town Plan. There are no known environmentally sensitive features on the site based on the natural features inventory, and no cultural resources were identified on this site either. Land uses in this area generally consist of urban core, urban fringe, and rural 2 land uses.
Second. Second. Mr. Billy. Thank you, sir. Further questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm having real heartburn with this because this is where we want development. This is the kind of development we want there, but right now we have a real problem is that we don't know what the traffic situation is going to be there, and they're saying that it doesn't need a turn lane. And I'm going, this is an area that's going to have real traffic problems in the future, and we need to let a little more development take place in the area so we start seeing what the traffic patterns are going to be before we add any more to this situation. So I can't support it simply because we need to have a better handle on the traffic in this area.
So you want to add more development to see if we're going to have more traffic?
The development's already there.
Yeah.
Okay, we've already approved huge amount of development right there. Okay, we don't know
once that's built out, what that's going to do to the traffic situation there.
Okay.
And we need to just slow down on this until we figure out how that traffic's going to be.
So how did they conclude that they don't need a turn lane?
I have no idea.
They have a traffic study, and they looked at what's currently on Cager Posey. Well, they haven't built that.
Traffic study by an engineer.
Right.
Before what? How did you conclude that it is needed?
I haven't got a traffic study. I'm saying that we don't have the information because the developments that are there haven't been built yet. And so until they get built and we start getting some traffic studies, we'll have a better idea.
Well, no, that, with this particular area, there's three ways to get out of there. You go right to Shaveville Road, you go left across the highway, and you go right to Shaveville. So, I mean, this is a pretty good, pretty easily you're out because you got
two spots too, Cager Posey.
So you got.
The question is whether it's going to be a turn lane to get in and out.
Okay. Go ahead, Billy.
Speaking on that, I would say the traffic information we used to determine whether a turn lane was not was with those surrounding subdivisions at Fullfield. So the traffic we used for Summerfield was their theoretical full built out traffic numbers. So then on top of that, we added the trips from this project and determined that a traffic turn lane was not.
So
You didn't determine.
We built some new developments beyond those?
The traffic study determined. Right.
We have had conversations, though, we're going to be asking the developer to put a right turn lane off of Wakulla Air and to at least look at that. That is needed, a right turn lane.
Right turn coming out of the...
Right turn lane on Wakulla Air and going into the apartment complex, or the
Yes.
townhome. Yes.
Yeah, because you have a big apartment complex.
And that's going to be your pinch point, is everybody's going to want to, even in the back section, they're going to turn in there when they're coming from town. And we just asked that, so.
And that's but they're saying on their traffic study they don't need it, and I can't see that. Have you heard that we spoke about a turn lane?
I've heard through Robbie, I hadn't heard anything.
I'm sure it'll come through. Some good developers do that, so.
Is there
Robbie's good.
ingress, egress on Cager Posey as well?
Yes, the phase 2 portion will have its main entrance on Cager Posey, but they will be interconnected. So,
He'll do it.
If you're coming from the west, most likely you'd turn. If you're coming from the east, most likely you go through the roundabout and head down to Cager Road.
Yeah.
But we definitely.
It's the right thing to do, yeah.
Gotcha.
But with the 4 lane going on, you'll have a lot of people going on.
Well, the reason I like it, like I said, there's three ways to get out of there.
It's where we want development. My problem is right now they're saying they're not gonna put a turn lane in, and I think they need to.
Well, that right turn lane would help solve it, because you're right, everybody that goes to Tallahassee, they'll go out through the roundabouts and get it in. That's just coming back in that would be the one that we're just suggesting. We can't demand it, but that's what we're
I wouldn't think most people leaving there are going to want to go west toward Crawfordville. I would think you'd want to go.
Well, they're going to go
shopping. Where they're all going right now.
Yeah, they're all shopping there, come back.
So, or Shadeville, yeah. You're going to go to the east and not head toward Crawfordville, I would think.
They're all going over Bethel right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, to go to work, but I'm talking about going to go to the grocery store and all that stuff. They'll come back, walk all there. And that's the concern.
I think we're done, sir. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Passes 4-1. We'll go to item number...
Thank you. Tab 21 is a rezoning R2225. This is a change of zoning from ag to PUD. Just under the 10-acre parcel we just discussed at 68 Cager Posey Road, west of Summerfield Phase 2 subdivision. If you have any ex parte communications, please disclose them for the record.
I spoke with Robbie about the turn lane.
None.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information regarding this application, please stand up to be sworn.
I think he's
Do
already...
you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Yes, as Heather mentioned, this is a request to rezone the same property we discussed in the previous agenda item from agriculture to PUD. This is a...
Second. motion and a second. Mr. Colbert, here for questions? No other questions? Questions or comments from the board? Hear none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes 4-1. That ends our planning and zoning. We have no scheduled commissioner agenda items. County Attorney.
Nothing additional this evening.
Thank you. County Administrator.
Yes, I got a few things. Now that we have the Motorola contract ready to go, we've already talked about some sites with them, and we'll be, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months, we'll bring you sites for your approval for antennas, etc. And we're ready to move forward. That is a big thing for our county. That's we basically are getting a brand new radio system for $1 million is what the cost is to the taxpayer as of right now, and we're thankful for Triumph Golf for their participation and in the funding of the radio system, and we're looking forward to getting it going. And as Mobile Representative Stacy said, it's a very aggressive schedule, but we also have a very bad system that we're currently working on. We're a lightning strike away from not having a radio system.
Yeah, we're in crisis mode all the time.
So we have to go and we got to move at all due pace, and we're prepared to do that. We've got everything ready to go, and we'll be moving at that. Magnolia Gardens Phase 3 sewer, they're connecting, tying homes in now. They were paving today. Hopefully, within the next over the next 4 weeks, they'll be wrapping up operations there. Hopefully, and tying up loose ends and cleaning it up, and we'll be out of there. And all those folks will be tied in and have brand new paved roads. Wakulla Gardens Phase 3 sewer is underway. We've set the lift station, or we're setting the lift station, excuse me. All the clearing has been completed, so that project's well underway. Lift station 76 Force Main is underway. You see that out on Highway 98. That project's underway. Friendship Church Road Force Main is probably about 75% complete. That entire project is almost complete. That'll make a big difference with our collection system once that is finished. That in itself will make a difference. Also, the upper bridge boat ramp, I think, is back and moving again. We ran into a couple of change orders there that there was some material or some debris that was put down. The only thing we can assume was the building of the bridge. That once we excavated the ramp out, we exposed all the roots and the stumps and all kinds of stuff where they'd obviously filled some stuff in, so we had to excavate that out and then bed that and bridge it. So we've got all that taken care of now, so that project's back going again. Rock Landing, we're meeting with the developer that owns the marina tomorrow, presenting the plans again for parking situation there, what can be done. So hopefully we'll make some movement there, so that you'll know about that. Master Sands Pier, we've got all the information back now to FEMA. They've worked well with us, and hopefully we'll be getting in the next month. I'm scared to say anything about FEMA, but I mean, they've been good. Very soon, getting approval from them to get started again. So we hopefully will be cranking that bad boy up here shortly. Also, staff will be meeting with DEP on the 31st. We have it's a relatively large meeting with DEP. We'll be going through all of our funded projects. And I was talking about all the different projects that we're doing. The future projects they have for us on the water and sewer side, or excuse me, the sewer side, we're looking at bulking those together to get economies of scale, as well as funding some commonality in there. We'll be talking about that, as well as a number of the funding as it pertains to front loading these projects. Secondly, the other thing we'll be talking about is the Wakulla East sewer. We've applied for, Michelle is in the process of applying for a grant for a feasibility study through DEO. We'll be talking to DEP about that grant, about the Wakulla East sewer system. And if, so far, everybody we've talked to within DEP is excited about it, but we'll see. But it's going to be a lengthy process, but yet we've started that process, and hopefully we'll have a good result out of that. The golf course, everything's moving along there. Now with this, we're planning to start, dirt will start moving on, as according to the schedule, on April 10th. We should have a completed golf course, 100% dressed out. If everything goes right and we don't have severe weather or whatever, we should have a grassed golf course in October. The earlier we get it grassed in the summer, the possibility of us opening it in October. If it goes later into late August and early September, more than likely we'll recommend to pull that to an opening and next year, probably in April or May. Last thing you want to do is open it up before it's ready, because it'll damage a bunch of money. And you see how much it costs to sprig a golf course now, and we don't want to have to sprig that again. Anyway, that's our update.
Have you heard anything recently on the Smith Creek Tower?
Smith Creek Tower, I believe I sent you guys an email on this. We approved, our building department approved all of the tower improvements at the Sock Choppy Tower that were put in place to make that tower support the microwaves that they're going to shoot to Smith Creek. All that was approved and inspected and all that, and so Verizon, I sent an email to Verizon and they acknowledged that, and I'm hoping any day now they're going to tell us they're going to turn it on, because they've got the site there, and also we approved everything for the site in Smith Creek, so we're hoping any time now that'll break loose.
Be a big change for that community. Oh, yeah.
That will be, believe it or not, in this day and time, that you can't believe you're talking about stuff like that, but it'll be a big deal.
Good deal.
How about, acquisition of the Talcum sewer system?
Acquisition, right now, Talcum, all they'll talk about is dirty water, so, and not that kind. we keep asking, so, until they say they'll sell and give us a price, we can't, we're begging, so. They did say they were gonna assign one of their consultants to it, so.
Any movement on the sewer system up by the prison?
That's what that Wakulla East.
That is it?
That's that Wakulla East. That's what that is. Yeah. Yeah. We're, like I say, we know we have to do a feasibility study to apply for grant funding, to try to seek funding for all of that, because that'll be a big move. That'll take care of a big problem in St. Mark's. Get that wastewater treatment plant off the river and from flooding, because there's 22-foot floods there. Flood levels get a hurricane in the sewer plants. I think the top of it's sitting at about 18, something like that. And also it's falling apart, so they need some help. And also Wakulla Plantation, we'll be getting that wastewater treatment plant off the side of the Wakulla River. And then also be able to sewer the northeastern side of the county, which will help Wakulla Springs as well.
In the middle school, Wakulla Middle School.
And Wakulla Middle School, we're also going to be talking to DEP about that, as well as part of the funding that we have for that is that funding won't happen until 27, 28 for that Wildwood area for septic to sewer. We're going to ask them to front load that for that portion so that we can abandon their wastewater treatment plant that they have, because they have a problem of the lack of BOD loading, believe it or not, and it's interesting dichotomy, but they do, and therefore they have a problem keeping their plant alive, and they're constantly in violation.
Very good. Thank you. Discussion items? Good. None tonight.
The bridge has finally got the funding, and the bids just went out for 313. So I think the con is in March, so they should start construction in a couple weeks, and they are looking at about 6 months having it done. So that bridge been out 5 years, so hopefully it's going to really make the dog hunters happy.
Good. Anything further? Anything further?
Nope, that's it.
I'm good tonight.
Good tonight.
I'm good.
All righty. We have a motion to adjourn. We stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming out tonight.